Welcome back to Integrated, podcast for entrepreneurial couples who want to have really strong partnership, family life, and career.
Yeah, and who are committed to doing the work necessary to have that.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a growth-oriented person. Thanks for listening to this podcast, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Today we're going to talk about sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about a common, really common, probably the most common sexual issue that comes into our offices.
Yeah. Couples struggling with one person, usually, in a heterosexual male-female couple, one person, the man, wanting more sex and wanting sex in order to feel more connected as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman wanting to feel more connected emotionally so that she's more interested in having sex.
Yeah. And this obviously appears in a long-term relationship after the honeymoon stage is when this kind of dynamic starts to emerge.
Usually after the first year and a half or so. Yeah.
People have less frequent sex and they start to notice it's like a little more complicated than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what's going on? Why don't you want to have sex with me?
Right. Why are we starting to feel a little bit like roommates even?
Yeah.
This could happen much later in a relationship too, but it is after the attachment material starts to get kicked up, which takes about 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
So then what happens is I think we start, as a couples, we start to get more, some of us, maybe both of us, start to get more nuanced around the kind of connection we want, the quality. We're more sensitive to just some of the subtler things going on, messages being sent about how interested I am in you, how, interested sexually or interested like in just you as a person. Mm-hmm. As our kind of intense focus and interest wanes kind of after that honeymoon period, other things start to come forward or get communicated where we might start to question, wait, do you care as much as you did? Or am I as important to you? Am I still a priority to you? And so as all that stuff starts to get kind of brought into the field, it does affect just the overall intimate connection. It could.
Yeah. And you want to have, this is why good communication in your relationship is so important so that you can talk about this when it comes up. Because a lot of couples, they have the issue of the different sexual challenge going on. Mm-hmm. I want to connect to sexually and then I'll be emotional. You want to connect emotionally and then we'll be sexual. We want to be able to talk about that. Mm-hmm. So we have that challenge. And then if we can't talk about it, that's another challenge.
Yeah.
And then if those communication breakdowns continue to happen, the bedroom becomes a minefield.
Yeah.
And so this is why we're going to continue to reinforce good communication.
Yeah. And it's reminding me too of how much goes into good communication. Because I think with this issue, this issue in particular, some other issues are like this too. You really have to know yourself and be able to share that, honestly and genuinely with your partner, like what you know about yourself, why you are the way you are, or like, gosh, I don't even know or understand this about myself. That's okay too. But you have to have some curiosity about yourself and curiosity about your partner's experience.
Yeah.
That's going to help facilitate communication that brings new insights and understandings to the table.
Yeah.
Because communication is not just saying what you think. It's also being able to share, nuances and aspects of yourself that might not make sense rationally, but make sense given your emotional history or your relational history, right?
Yeah. And so maybe by the end of the episode, we'll make sure we give you one tip on how to bring this up.
Yeah. How to
if
start
you're dealing
talking
with this
about
and you're kind of in an oh shit, like I don't want to start a fight or I'm scared. We'll give you just a little guidance there. Yeah. But we want to unpack the dynamic.
Yeah. Like
first.
What's going on here?
Yeah. What is going on?
And why is this so common?
Yeah. Well, I think, you could think about that yourself as you listen. Like, which side of the fence are you on? You don't have to be a man or a woman. You could relate to either position depending on where you're at right now in your relationship. Mm-hmm. I obviously can relate to the men who, in the most rudimentary way, would say, Yeah, I'm just a guy. I just want sex. And I'm not emotional. I got trained out of my emotions. And so sex helps me connect. You know, I might say that, right? If I'm a guy. And that might be my understanding of the issue.
Right.
And I haven't unpacked that. I don't know myself really well. So I just say and regurgitate what I've heard maybe. Well, it's my biology, or I'm just a guy and I just want sex. I don't know. Like regular sex helps me feel less stressed out and, you know.
And does that guy think that his way to emotional connection is like, well, let's just do it my way. Like, this is what works for me, so it should work for us?
I think a lazy guy does think that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like, what's the big deal?
Uh-huh.
You know, we were having sex for years early on, and now we're not. I still want to have sex with you. Why do you not want to have sex with me? What's the big deal here? Yeah,
and he starts feeling like he has to like jump through all these hoops to get this thing he thinks.
I got to do backflips and cartwheels, and I got to say the right thing and listen properly, and you know, listen to Jayson's book, and then or go to therapy with me, and then you'll have sex with me, and you know, guys are like, wow, this is becoming a maze. Not all men, of course, but no, we start to get a little bound up here, and I'm adding the word lazy because I just don't think a lot of men have really thought about, what is this for me, and how could I grow here, and what can I learn about myself so that I can have sex with my partner because I'm still attracted to them, I still want them. I would like regular sex or more frequent sex. And so what do I need to learn about myself and you and us to do that? Mm-hmm. You know, that's a guy that gets a little more motivated might think that way.
Yeah.
What about the woman's side?
So much here. Wow. Gosh. Okay. Yeah. So I think if I put myself in that woman's shoes, there's so much here. So she wants to feel that her partner is interested and cares about who she is as a human being. Mm-hmm. And that really allows her to feel safe and secure with him and open and interested to sex. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of natural from like, wow, I feel your care and interest. I feel your support. I feel your curiosity about me and you're wanting to know me and understand me. That's for a lot of women, that's like foreplay. I mean, that is like really, really nice.
Yeah.
And so I think that what that does is it allows a woman to feel, just really safe and secure. And if she's starting to feel in the relationship, like sex is kind of transactional, sex is kind of for the guy, like he's just like, I just need this thing. Thanks.
Yeah, he's better when I have sex with him, and he's moping around when I don't.
Yeah, and he's not, and like that care and interest about me as a person isn't really coming through anymore. It really did at the beginning of our relationship when we were like hyper focused on each other and like we were so mysterious and interesting to each other. And now that I'm kind of around a lot, I'm not as, he's not as interested.
Yeah.
That can really be, put a woman off. And, and there's a lot I could say about this, but there is this way of, you talked about how men just kind of get this idea of like, well, I'm just a guy. They get that message from society. That's just how guys are. They just want sex and it doesn't require really any connection for them to be into it.
Yeah.
Which I think we should come back to that because that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. Not true at all.
It's not true at all. And I think for women, it's, we get socialized into just being very objectified and, our value is on our sexual availability and our, appearance and then we, over time, we want to feel like we're valued for more than that. I mean, we want to feel that anyway, but if that care and interest starts to wane, and it's not usually just affecting a couple's sex life. It is affecting other areas.
Yeah.
But that can be one of the things that starts to not really work with a woman. And she's like, this feels like it's kind of for you. And
I feel like I'm being used.
Yeah. Kind of it could feel that way. Or like, maybe she wants something more, even more impactful through the sexual part of the relationship. Like maybe the guy's thinking about, yeah, it just feels good and it's nice. And she's like wanting something, maybe to experience something even deeper or more connective. Like how does this aspect of our relationship keep growing and developing? You know, and sometimes men aren't thinking about that. They're thinking about, this is just a thing that I get on a regular basis. And she's like, maybe she wants it to be even more connective and more intimate over time. Yeah. Which again, I think men might want too. Yeah. If they allow themselves to be interested in that.
Yeah. If they drop more into their bodies and they become emotionally literate and they learn how sensitive they actually are, then they might begin to have a new experience around their template for sex.
And all of this, I just want to kind of flag, we don't have to go into it, but, you know, people have sexual histories. Yeah. And sometimes those are traumatic or really wonderful and great. You know, there's a whole range of things we've all been through, messages we've gotten, experiences we've had. And that's important for couples to talk about too, because that has such an impact on the sexual relationship they're in right now. And that's just something to reflect on. Also, there's, you know, women, the other piece I want to say is like women are going through seasons of life over time, from things like pregnancy and childbirth and breastfeeding and perimenopause and menopause. Like our bodies are going through enormous changes.
Your monthly cycle
even. Yeah. Fluctuations, seasons of life. And that affects us in every area of our being. And it's really cool if that can be talked about or it not seen as like a big problem or obstacle.
Right. And celebrated maybe. Even.
Yeah. Or like, wow, this whole other thing is happening for you. Or how else can we be, what are the ways we can be intimate through these seasons that would be good for our connection and relationship too? Like getting creative and working with what is, if both people are doing that can be cool too. But a lot of times the changes in a woman's body and in her biology or physiology is just seen as like a big problem. Yeah. And that's unfortunate too.
Yeah. It's way unfortunate. And again, this is where I think us men can get a little lazy in terms of our disinterest. We feel so hurt by that, by all your changes, or we feel so rejected.
Right.
And so some of us are coming in with a sexual history that's not great, traumas, molestation, rape, etc., that we have or haven't dealt with. There's also just being rejected. Yeah. Some of us have a real sensitivity to being rejected in the bedroom, and that usually means we have a sensitivity to being rejected in general, whether it's in the workforce or with previous partners or in our childhood, rejected in sports or by our dad or mom. Like, it's multi-layered.
Rejection can be hard for anyone and then really loaded for some.
Yeah. And so some guys get really rejected. And then again, because they're not dealing with their emotions, knowing how to process and move through emotions, they might get just shut down. I feel rejected by you and I just shut down. And then you're definitely not going to get what you want. Because now I'm on lockdown. Yeah. Right? And you want an emotional connection.
Either is he.
Yeah. I'm on lockdown. And I'm not getting what I want either. But I don't see that, you know, I'm part of the problem here. I'm the one that shut down.
Yeah. And it also brings out this, what I start thinking of as you're talking about this is like, when sex is just transactional over time, that's going to not feel great to a lot of people.
It's not super
he's like, I'm not getting what I want. She's like, right, this is just for you. It just reinforces.
It's just for me.
You just want me to give this thing to you versus actually, this is something really good for our relationship. Yeah. And good for us as individual human beings, and that you think is really good for me as well. And you don't seem concerned that I'm not getting something that maybe would be good for me, and that we're not engaging in something that we know is good for us. Yeah. And so one of the things sometimes I ask couples is like, well, why is sex important to you? Like, what does it provide in your relationship? Why is it an important aspect of your relationship? Because it's different for every couple. And sometimes people are just in so many assumptions about this and entitlement around this or resentment around it. And and they aren't even starting from the same starting point of like, actually, this was a really special and important part of our relationship that really facilitates and supports us feeling connected and bonded and in each other's care. Like, if they both really believe that, then they're usually both more interested in, yeah, we've got to address this because we're both missing out on something important to us. And oftentimes the man will step forward and also acknowledge that emotional connection is also important to him too. It's not just something he's doing for her.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. It's very important to me. It's important to a lot of men.
Yeah.
And again, I think we're socialized to not be like that.
Right.
Because it requires for a man to like slow down and care about the emotional connection first. There's, you have to own how sensitive you might be. You have to own that you're feeling a little tender about this. There's some vulnerability in like, can we get connected first? Can we, do different versions of foreplay, right? Because again, we're socialized and conditioned, and porn conditions us as well, that you're just ready to go. No conversations. There's no foreplay needed. I'm just a guy. But as we get in touch, as guys get in touch with our sensitivity, how emotional we can be, how, and actually we have better sex if we slow down and get tuned into ourselves and our bodies, and we get in our body first, the sexual experience we have is going to be likely more powerful.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I've had to learn that, and I'm still on that path.
Yeah. Well, you've had to learn, I think, just how sensitive you are.
Yeah.
And how much our emotional connection is important to you for our sexual experience.
Yeah.
It's not just me. And that's, it enriches, but you are focused on emotions and connecting deeply with me.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. And sometimes I fall into that kind of egoic strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, the other thing that happens for guys, just to speak to the guys for a minute, is the stress that you're going through in your business or with finances and in life. One of the ways we learn how to relieve stress in our childhoods or adolescence and 20s, et cetera, is through masturbation. It's like stress relief. It's temporary. It's like a little Band-Aid. It doesn't really work.
For nervous system change and development.
It's a nervous system state change for a minute. Absolutely. Which is why guys keep returning to it. It works, but it's so temporary and it's so fleeting that we go back to our irritability and our stress and the edginess that we feel. And for some guys, it's exercise. They have maybe, quote, healthier means of getting regulated and getting back in our bodies.
And releasing anxiety
releasing
and
tension and anger and frustration. Ideally, you want more of a repertoire of tools at your disposal than just rubbing one out. I mean, that's fine, but anyway.
And women want to talk about it. Like we want to talk about how we feel. And we're brought up with it being most of the time okay for us to do that. We are seen negatively by aspects of society for having feelings at all.
Yeah.
But with other women and with our close people and with our partners, we definitely want to talk about how we feel and what we're going through. Not everyone across the board, but that might be a more, socially acceptable way for women to deal with tension and stress.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're like a dam here, just bottled up. Because a lot of guys are not talking about it because they don't have a men's group. They don't go to therapy. They don't do coaching. They don't have a way to process emotion. But if you do, you're less jammed up and you're actually more available. So to the guys who are like trying to get sex from their partner to feel better and more connected, chances are you're just relying on it as a crutch to feel better and to feel more connected. And there's lots of different ways that you can learn to capacities you can develop.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have to do with embodiment practices and being emotional and sharing your emotions and talking about your feelings and what you're going through.
Yeah, it usually really enriches people's lives and relationships to do that. But I know that, people don't necessarily have good histories with being vulnerable and having that being cared for very well or responded to very well, especially boys. And unfortunately, we're still not necessarily raising boys to be emotionally as literate as they could be. And, even women are getting sucked into that too, into just like performance and being, achieving and self-oriented and all that. There's social issues here, of course. But, if we get back to this couple, what, they're in this tension. He's got his view of how to get connected. She's got hers. Where, and we're saying some things about it, but what should they do, or where should they begin?
Yeah. Can you answer that as well, please?
Sure.
Yeah. You're throwing it at me, but I'm like, I don't know. What do they do? I usually throw that back on the couple. Yeah. What are you guys going to do about this difference here?
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things. First of all, again, remember, we have to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
We just like first rule is you got to be able to communicate about finances and sex and difficult subjects.
Yeah.
And when there's a difference like this, it's like, how do we both, I like our standing for 3 questions. How do we make a decision that's good for you, me, and us? How do we do that, honey? Well, it might mean that sometimes are you willing to have less foreplay with me?
This isn't about foreplay, though.
Or
try again.
Are you willing to have sex sooner with me than having an on-ramp or talking about it? And are you willing to, am I willing to slow the hell down and get connected for several days?
Let me talk about the challenge, because it's not going to be as easy as let's meet somewhere in the middle. This is not one of those, unfortunately, because unfortunately, a lot of women are coming into their partnerships later in life, having had sex when they didn't want to, having given sex to men when they weren't that into it, just because the man wanted it. They haven't been, unfortunately, this is so unfortunate, necessarily experiencing a lot of mutuality around sexuality. And so if a guy's like, well, can't you just sometimes do it my way? What he's up against is a woman who no longer wants to betray herself and participate in sex for someone else. So
you don't want to ask your partner to override anything.
Well, I mean, I'm like, I wouldn't want you to override something in yourself to just please me. I wouldn't wouldn't be a good agreement for me.
Yeah, same.
And so what I also want to say before I get into this deeper is that, the guy feels like it's unfair that he has to somehow do this special emotional, get it just right for her connection that he doesn't maybe totally understand how to do, doesn't feel very good at, doesn't feel like he needs. And he's trying to do that. And he starts to feel like that's unfair because sometimes it doesn't really like quote unquote work. And it doesn't really get him what he wants. And then he's really frustrated because he's like, oh, we just got into a fight, or she didn't, he's kind of like
even more disconnected.
But he's doing it because he's trying to get what he wants versus trying to really, they're not trying to do something as a couple that's good for their relationship. So the part that I think could be helpful here is less getting into like solutions. Like, well, how about we meet in the middle somewhere? I don't think that's going to work well. But I think what might work well, and again, this is an ongoing process for couples to figure out what works for us. Is like you said, you got to be able to talk about it. You've got to be able to face the things that feel difficult between you, and at least get a shared understanding that like, we're kind of stuck here. And the best thing I think to do is to try to get, it's a couple things. One is to get a really good understanding of what it's like to be your partner. Like, help me understand, like, more than just, I'm just a guy, I'm like, help me understand this. And I have a sexual history with you, so I can talk about like, well, there's been times when it's been like this and it's been so beautiful between us. And there's been times when it just hasn't, like, what's really satisfying. Like, so trying to understand each other him trying to understand you trying to understand what am I up against when it comes to being really open to you? What are all the things? And being actually interested in that.
And I might even, rather than ask, I might guess and say, it seems like you're dealing with X, Y, and Z. Like, what else?
Yeah.
Because I want to be, again, paying attention.
Yeah.
Both of us can do that.
Yeah, sure.
Empathically.
Totally. Trying to understand each other. And I think so that's one piece, is like really work on understanding your partner here. Also work on this bigger conversation about like, what role does sex play in our life and in our relationship? Like, let's talk about that as a couple. Like, is it important to both of us? Why is it important? What does it do for us here? What does it do for us as individuals? What does it do for our relationship? How important is it? What does this mean in our life? 'Cause a lot of couples are often on the same page about that. But it depends on where people are at in life too. There's life phases or different circumstances, but sometimes they're on the same page about that. And then also, what about our emotional connection? How important is that? What does that provide? What does that even mean? What are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about around all these things? So I think these are communication conversations where you're trying to really understand yourself, your partner, and what really supports you having the kind of relationship you want to have. I think if people spend a lot of time on that, they start to see a way forward of, we do need more of both, because both matter. There's other kinds of intimacy too. There's just like sharing ideas and observations and like intellectual intimacy or, even just like affectionate intimacy, touch, there's sex, and then there's also just like affectionate touch. Sometimes that's really missing in a partnership. And that can be a really important way of kind of paving the way for more involved touch. Right. Yeah. So I think that all those things could be beneficial.
Are you kind of saying, so you're not into, let's meet somewhere in the middle, but you begin to understand each other. You're saying solutions naturally emerge. Potentially. I wouldn't say they just naturally emerge.
I would say that you feel more like we're facing this together, and we've together considering both of our interests, considering that we actually see the value of our sexuality and our emotionality as a really important aspect of our intimacy. We're both potentially more motivated to stay more engaged, to find ways to connect there.
Yeah.
Because they aren't mutually exclusive. Even men really long for that emotional connection. They just maybe don't know how to get there without sex, but they want that too.
Yeah, they want that warm, fuzzy feeling of connection.
And women want to feel really sexually free and engaged with their partners too. But they're struggling to experience that because of how they're being handled or what's being missed by their partner in terms of what would actually work for them. And so this really often just comes up in long-term relationships where people are just wanting more and more nuanced handling and care. And then there's healing. There's like enormous healing that's possible here for people.
Because most of the time you didn't have these conversations in prior sexual relationships or when you were a kid.
Right. Or this level of vulnerability wasn't allowed, or someone couldn't receive it, or, wow, I could be much more in my body while I'm being sexual with you if we're more connected, and that could be very healing. Like there's so many cool things that can be explored in a sexual partnership when there is a lot of trust and connection. And you could be having a sexual relationship without cultivating more trust and connection. And I don't think most men truly want that. I think they want the whole thing.
I think so. I think deep down, a lot of men don't know that.
Right.
But I would agree that probably if they could unpack themselves a little more here, they might come to that.
Yeah. And I would say also that women go through phases where they're like, I don't really care about sex right now. But in the long scheme of things, that is an important part of their life and their identity and their self-expression and their life experience. So, sometimes we just get kind of pushed into these positions, and we need to do a lot of just like kind of unpacking to get out of these fixed places where it seems like you only care about one thing and I only care about one thing. And that's usually not true.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Kind of what I'm hearing and what we're talking about here is this whole thing is an opportunity for you to get to know yourself and each other better. Sometimes it's not even about the sex. It's like the sex challenges become an opportunity to grow, to learn, to become more connected in lots of different ways. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the cost, though, of a sexless long-term relationship is high, and it's another compensation. I just think there's a lot of aliveness and creativity in our sexuality. And I want that for you, the listener, to be able to be self-expressed there, and to be met and to feel connected.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's something you want, then yeah.
Yeah, there's a way to get there.
There's a way to get there. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is hopefully planting some seeds for you. Yeah. And we were going to mention briefly how to bring this up.
Yeah. How can we bring this up?
Can we just each give a version? How about that?
Yeah. Totally.
I give one version, you give a totally different version.
Give a version of how the guy can bring it up in a good way. Yeah. Because everyone knows how to, we don't need to help people see how to do it not in a good way.
Yeah. Hey, honey, this is really vulnerable to talk about, but I'd like to talk about our sex life. Are you open to a conversation about that?
Okay.
I know this has been a place of tension for us over the years or recently, and I know you're going through a lot with menopause, perimenopause, menopause, stress at work, the things you're challenged with in your life, and I'm making this up, by the way, and I miss you. I miss us here. I just don't know what to do. And I want to at the very least, have a conversation about how do we talk about this? How do we get to a different place? Are you with me or open to this?
Okay.
Okay. I got a somewhat receptive partner.
Yeah. I think I have a better idea, I think.
Well, dude, I'm just giving, these are ways you can bring it up. That might really work for someone.
Totally. It might feel really sensitive.
Ellen, but it might really work for someone else.
Here's what I wanted to hear more of. I'll demonstrate it.
Okay.
I like that, asking permission. Hi. Hey, I would love to have a conversation with you about our sexuality. Are you open to that?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to get in a fight, but okay.
Okay.
Because this doesn't go well usually.
Okay. Well, let me give it a shot.
Okay.
I'm realizing I don't think I've handled you very well here. And I don't think I've been very sensitive to, what you want or even how you're impacted by my position around sex with us. And I'm starting to recognize that. And I'm just wanting to let you know I'm seeing that. And I really would like to have just a more curious conversation about what's happening for you and what you're wanting, and also bringing you some insight I've gotten about what's happening for me and what I'm wanting. And I also just want to talk about our relationship in general and how we can have it be everything we want it to be.
Thank you. I'm in. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you're easy.
Yeah.
I'm maybe more...
you like the nuance.
I'm like, can you nuance that a little more?
Yeah.
But I think there's something about, especially with this conversation, there's something about ownership that really could help. Like, hey,
I've been
avoiding, or I think I've been really pushy here. I don't think I've been sensitive to you. I think starting with ownership here, that's kind of what I was wanting to hear more of. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you kind of validating, like, oh, you have a lot going on, but there wasn't the ownership that I think I know really would relieve me, especially if this has been a point of tension.
Yeah. Great. So those are 2 little templates that you can riff off of.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe both are good.
Yeah. Play with them.
Combine them.
Okay, folks. Thanks again for listening. Thanks, honey.
Yeah.
Lean in here.
Lean in. It's an important part of life.
Yeah.
And it can be navigated. And we want to support you with that.
So make sure you subscribe to our podcast, share it with a friend. We're on YouTube now as well. And thanks for listening.
Thank you.